And I'm tempted to follow my parish priest who, after such a beautiful experience, would say, the good news preaches itself. So you've heard it and it has preached itself. So I really didn't want to share any homily, but I remembered the master of worship at Ekima, Father Sebastian Adigwe, telling me, read the rubrics, read the rubrics. So I went ahead and I read the rubrics, and I saw, according to the rubrics, the homily is not omitted. So I have no choice. So allow me to just reflect a little bit about these readings and what they mean. And I just want to invite you to an experience that I've had. I don't know if any of you have had an experience of meeting important people. I mean important people, not the dean of students or that man, what he calls himself, the director of the Center of African Studies, Interfaith Studies in Africa. No, those people consider themselves important, but they are important people, I tell you. And I've really seen that important people. There's a certain sense, these people who move history. When you are in their presence, you feel something is happening. Something is that this one is no ordinary person. I think my first encounter with that was when Pope John Paul II visited Zimbabwe way back in 1988. A good number of our students were still in the mind of God then. But you see, there's something I noticed when we were out there on the tarmac to welcome him, and he stepped down out of the plane, and he came down onto the tarmac. And when he came down from the plane, the first thing he did is that he kissed the ground. And then he went and I could feel that and the following day, the papers, the TVs, the images of Pope kissing the ground, Pope kissing the ground. You could feel the tremors that Pope had kissed the ground. And now imagine yourself coming out at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and you kiss the ground. What will people say? You'll be lucky if you are not arrested. So these are people who move history, people in their presence. And I had an opportunity, an experience of meeting those kind of people, I tell you. The first time I met Comrade Mugabe, I had really thought, Comrade Mugabe was famous for many things, and I was in this village where I had gone for Mass, and he came for Mass. Then he came. During that Mass, he passed where I was, and he greeted me, shook my hand. And he had this thing that when he shakes your hand, he just steps you on the shoulder as if he knows you very much. And then I felt, I had been demonizing him a few minutes ago, but that time, I was really humble and contrite of heart. I didn't really have anything to say. No, this is what meeting important people who move history. A few years later, I was somewhere in the Caribbean, and I met the then British Premier, Tony Blair. And this was again at a Mass situation, and when I had been introduced from Zimbabwe, so he came to me and he greeted me and asked me, so how is Zimbabwe? I said, oh, it's fine. And he said, how is Robert Mugabe? That you should know better. Because for those who know the history between those who were not two great friends, Comrade Mugabe and Tony Blair, they always are. And they represented something of the two countries, Zimbabwe and Britain, that the tensions and everything around them. And that's what you see when you meet important people. My problem is this. I've met these important people, and I can tell you exactly what happened. And I can tell you how I felt when I met them. And I can tell you everything that happened there. But my problem is that these people, they don't know that they met me. And the next thing you see them on TV, they're all over the place and they're shaking. They're doing what they do all the time. But they don't know that I exist, or they met me, or they shook my hand. That's what happened when we meet these very important people. You remember. but they don't. Our readings today from the Old Testament, they are telling a different story. This is not just about an ordinary person you meet and they mesmerize you, but this is about God who comes to you, who knows when you encounter them. So what we heard from the three readings was the people sharing about their God, coming to them, calling them. This is a God who called them from nothing, the whole story of creation. He created them. He calls them from nothing. He creates everything that they need. He gives them the dominion. This is their God. He is not just one important person who comes and then he goes. He is there and he provides for them. And that's the story. So the relationship of the story of the people of God, Israel is not just a nation, but Israel becomes a person. And God has got a very powerful relationship with that person. He goes there, he meets them, he creates them. We come to the second reading. Those people, they get into trouble. They find themselves in the exile in Egypt. They are suffering, but their God does not just abandon them. He comes there where they are. He knows them. He follows them there, and he rescues them. So the whole crossing of the Red Sea, the whole celebration, it was not that this is a great person, but this is our God who knows us. He follows us, and he's here with us. That's what we find in the book of Exodus. And then we move on to have the prophet Ezekiel. And he's reminding these people, and it's true, God is speaking through Ezekiel. Look what you've done. You've tarnished my name. You've done all sorts of horrible things. You are miserable. But he can easily just leave you. But for the sake of my name, I will come to you. So God follows them again in their sinfulness, and he rescues them. He brings them again. So again, this is no ordinary great man who says, I'm fed up with you. This is their God who follows them, creates them, and then he rescues them. And then again, he takes them out of their sinfulness. A God who is following his people. The story changes in a very dramatic and nice way when we come to the Epistle of the Apostles. That this God does not just follow you when you are in trouble or when you have sinned, but he follows you when you are dead. When you go to the dead, God comes there as well. He dies. Of course, St. Paul is talking about baptism and death and how those are related. But there's a very important theme of death, that God comes to us when we are dead. And you know, Paul has always been this thing. He doesn't give us historical details about the life of Christ, but this issue that I wish only to know Christ and to know him crucified is very important. And so again, we hear him in Philippians say, he did not consider, that equality to God. He emptied himself to come to be with us. Not that when we are living, not that when we are doing that, but when we are dead, God follows us there. The whole day today is the Holy Saturday. And it's quiet, it's silence, there's nothing much. And theologians tell us this is the one that commemorates that has gone to the depth of the dead, there to be with us. There he follows his people to the dead. Well, forget about ordinary people following you where you are and when they need you, but who even among your own relatives will follow you when you are dead? You go to funerals and you see how people crying, but after that you see their plates of food. They just continue. They are not willing to follow you when they are dead. But God really follows that. I just remember the story of this old man at a funeral where I was. And this young man had died, and the old man was really distraught. He's saying, I don't know, I don't understand God. How can you take this young man, leaving us old people like that to survive? And he thought, really, the old man. Now the young brother of the deceased was there hearing him. The following day he was given out to say a speech. And the young brother started saying, I don't understand God. How could he take my brother, a young man, and leave that old man there? The old man was very angry. How can you point at me? But he was serious. This is it. This is God who follows us to the dead. Is even unlike our brothers and sisters who, yes, they can mourn us and bury us, but I don't think they are willing to follow us as God does to follow us there. And then He raises us up. We are raised. We cannot resurrect. We are human beings. Only God can rise, and then with His resurrection, He raises us up. So when we come to the gospel, we hear the famous story of the empty tomb. There is no one in the tomb. Yes, we know from theology and from other sources that, the whole story of the empty tomb is not a proof of the resurrection, but it is an important sign of the resurrection of God. That the Christianity, the church, our faith is built on an empty tomb. It is very different from other things that thrive when people have to die. Our young people from where I come from, they are saying, oh, it means for this thing to thrive, somebody has to go down. And it's a myth that is found in very different cultures, that sometimes big cities, they have to kill somebody and build the city for it to thrive. And when they are building bridges, they have to kill somebody and put him underneath there for that bridge to be strong. So in most cases, some things thrive because some people have to die for those things to thrive. Only yesterday in Zimbabwe, we were celebrating our independence. And that whole country and that whole independence is based on so many thousands of many young men and women who fought and died. And their graves are there. So every commemoration, we remember them. These are the people who celebrated us. And Zimbabwe is built on the blood of all those people who are there, and their graves are there. But Christianity is not like that. Christianity, there is no one underneath. The tomb is empty. We don't thrive simply just because other people have gone down. We have another saying, kakara kununa wuti kakara. For a beast to thrive, it must eat another beast. So watch National Geographic, you can see what I mean. But in Christianity, it's not so. For another beast to thrive, everybody has to thrive. Everybody has to rise. So this is what it means to be a witness to the resurrection. To be a true Christian is not only when you are thriving and others are going down. If you are the only one who is succeeding and the rest are going down, that's no success, at least according to Christian principles. Everybody has to go up. When we rise, we must rise with everybody else and build on an empty tomb. You go out to Europe and other countries and they are busy saying, oh, in Africa things are so terrible, but I know you are different. No, you are not different if everybody else is going down and you are the only one rising. We have to come up together, and that's what Christ does, and that's what God does to us. With the resurrection, we all rise, we all go up. I'm a storyteller, so let me finish with this story that happened to us about this whole thing of rising together. Way back when we were studying philosophy, and Ruben, we had this thing that towards exam time like this, we will gather in groups and do study together and really discuss some of the questions. And we all passed because we wanted all of us. It was not only one person to rise. But one day I thought, I'm doing a lot of study. And when we go for the study groups to discuss what we have studied, I noticed some other guys are not coming to study. They're just coming to listen to what I'm saying and asking questions and writing. So I thought they were profiting from me, and I was not sure. So when they decided to have another study group again, I did what we always do when we don't want to attend some of these things. You just get sick. So I said, I'm not coming, I'm sick. So I didn't attend the study, and I was there in my room studying on my own. The exam came and went, then the results came. Oh, I nearly failed that exam. Those guys because there was one misunderstanding that, but when they were studying, they noticed that this is what it means. And I realized, I think other people they are profiting from me. I don't realize how I profit from them as well. So if I am to rise, I have to rise with others and participate with them because they also help me to rise. So if we are to call ourselves Christians, and if we are to rise, we have to rise with others, not alone. Somebody please say amen.
Amen.
Thank you.